ASMR with Mr. Seamus. Today we're going to be doing the Nintendo 64 Collection. Collection. But before we start any of that, let's work on our breathing. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Good. Now that we're in a nice place, Nintendo 64 was not a system that I owned when it was released. PlayStation 1 was, in fact, the system of choice during that era of gaming. But during those days, there were fond memories of going over to friends' houses and playing the exclusive Nintendo 64 games. And that's kind of how it was with the consoles. Rarely did people have both consoles that were in competition. Most people I knew had one or the other, and you would go and play the other one at a friend's house when the opportunity presented itself. So, in the Sega Genesis era, I had Sega Genesis, and I would have friends who had Super Nintendo, and that's how we'd go back and forth. But as I got older and Nintendo 64 became available and it was no longer in the market as we got into the PS2 era and the GameCube era, Nintendo 64s at that time were very affordable. So I went back and got them so I could replay a lot of the fun games that I had. Couldn't play fully, so I didn't have the system. Although I will say I do prefer the PlayStation 1, and that probably has a lot to do with the nostalgia I remember from that era. But Nintendo 64 is still a very fun system. There's some very good games for it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the controller. Let's take a look at it here. Trigger. The Nintendo 64 controller it's clunktastic. It's clunky, but for some reason that this trigger button is really satisfying in the back. Other than that, there's a lot of space in between the buttons, so it's, I don't know the word, it's not ergonomic or something, but the memory cards were such a thing, man. There it is, memory card. And for Nintendo 64, I just went through the controller. N64 controller. Now we'll get right into the games here. First one we have here is Turok. 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 Now, Turok was a game that was a lot of fun if you had all these cheat codes on. But playing the game without those was excruciatingly difficult. And there are these kind of games that come out that are just excruciatingly difficult and lack a lot of enjoyment. But if you had all the codes on and all these guns and stuff, it was quite fun. I had trouble getting past the first level. And so, with games like that, I tend to say, well, maybe I can spend my time doing something else. There wasn't heavy enjoyment, just a lot of frustration. But I did like the weaponry systems. Those were very good. And looking back at Turok, I don't know if you're familiar with the show Primal, but it's Gennady Tarkovsky, and it's fantastic. Fantastic if you're into the caveman, dinosaur, fantasy, just brilliant animation. So, with that, I would take away from Turok is, instead of playing Turok, watch Primal. I think it's Adult Swim. Next one we have here is Zelda Majora's Mask. Zelda's Majora's Mask was another excruciatingly difficult game. I mean, unnecessarily difficult for me. I couldn't get through it. There was a lot of challenges with the time that was constantly ticking. Although there was a lot of incredible things, I wish I was able to play the game. But unlike its predecessor, Ocarina of Time, which was brilliant, where I had infinite time to wander and figure things out, I don't have that with this game. It makes it very difficult. Although there are some really cool features like the mask guy and the moon, and bringing the creep, scary feeling, dark kind of thing in Zelda, which would be really cool to explore more of. I never really got to do it because I just couldn't get through the game. Although I really wanted to, I was unable to do that. And now you're thinking, oh, you've gone through 2 games, you can't beat him, what are you doing? Probably. I don't know. Next game I have here is Mario Party 1. Mario Party 1 was a game I was introduced to at a friend's house, and it was so much fun. We'd play with his dad and his sister, and would eat junk food, and it was a blast. And we'd give each other a hard time, and man, I love the bouncing balls. They were a lot of fun, and it was just a lot of fun to play. It was incredible fun, and particularly if you could get 4 players going on it. Man, it was a blast. I remember going to the pool party and playing Mario Party, and it was great. Some very fantastic Mario Party memories playing it. Levels were fun. An interactive board game a little bit, and those are always great because you don't gotta clean up anything. You just shut off the system. So Mario Party 1, great. And as we're talking about Mario Party 1, we'll talk about Mario Party 2. Also, a fantastic party game, especially if you're able to get all 4 players. Now that's always the challenge, because you don't want the computer in there, and it's just fun to play that way. Don't get lured in by the hootenanny and the western stage. It can lead to problems. But a hootenanny to play the game. It was a lot of fun. I thought it was a great improvement on the first one. And this is about as far as I got in the Mario Party series. As a gamer, my relationship with Nintendo has always been pretty limited. This is as far as I got with the Mario Parties. I may have gotten a later one on GameCube or something years later, but I just, there's always a challenge, and then you gotta find people to play, and then everyone's at work or whatever, so didn't get there. But great game, Mario Party 2. Next game I'm going to go up into is Star Wars. Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. This game, fantastic. Masterpiece. If you're into Star Wars at all, it was based on a book. There was a book that came out, Shadows of the Empire. There's this beautiful story that takes place in between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. And just fabulous stuff going on. And the game captures a lot of that. And the game was fun to play. It had an incredible soundtrack. It was gameplay was a lot of fun. And I realized that playing these games, the artwork, everything beautiful, but you can tell that it got to like the 6th or 7th level, and then someone at the management team was like, "We gotta hurry up with this project because it kind of gets rushed at the end, unfortunately." Although there's some good things, the boss in the sewer and stuff. It just feels like the levels were rushed at that point where they were so creatively done in the earlier parts. But altogether, really fun game, incredible. And I loved playing this game. I loved going over and trying to beat levels with pals, taking turns on lives, and whatever happened during that time. So, keeping with the Star Wars theme, we also have Rogue Squadron. Rogue Squadron, also a really good Star Wars game. In the original one, I'm not sure about the future ones, but the way you pilot the vehicles, the planes were so well done, and the missions were awesome. They were a lot of fun. Had a lot of enjoyment playing this game. Again, a game that you know, someone would be stuck on a level and they'd go over the house, we'd play it, we'd try to beat it through. And the missions, the stories behind the missions were a lot of fun. And the way the vehicles got destroyed was fun. So in these space games, it's a kind of, they usually just blow up, right, when they get destroyed. But this one, they would kind of like shoot off a wing and they would flutter and shoot down. And it was just very satisfying, taking down TIE fighters or whatever. So, a lot of fun. And again, you know, with these games is the artwork and the music and stuff is all coming together really nicely. Great game. Next game we have here is Fighting Force for 64. Now, I had this game for PlayStation 1, and it's fabulous. It was a really fun beat-em-up game, and cooperative particularly. So if you got a pal, and you're playing, you play together, and you're just kicking ass the whole game, and there's weapons, and it was really fun, particularly for someone coming from the Sega Genesis era, where you had like Streets of Rage, and these kind of beat 'em up games that were a lot of fun and were gritty. And this one had it, and then it also had weapons in there like pipes, and the weapons like were just really well done, and the fighting, and just totally underrated game. I thought it was incredible. And you would choose your kind of route. You would go through the city and you would choose like, do I go through the park or do I go uptown or whatever. It was just a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Next game we have here is the original Zelda. The original Zelda Ocarina of Time. Now, for someone from the Sega Genesis era, this was the first Zelda I played. That's probably why I said the original. And it was brilliant. I mean, I had a lot of fun exploring and figuring out the puzzles, and the music was so relaxing. It was a very relaxing game to play. And so it was kind of a game that during that era, what I didn't understand was the energies that the game gave off, rubbed off. You know, it was a pleasant, very pleasant game to play. And the energy was nice, the music was nice, the story was nice. All the little things you had to do on the side were fun. And I always can remember the challenge of when I wanted to get the big sword, and I had to go up the mountain to that big Goron. He was repairing the broken sword. It'd make it go all over hell and creation with time limits, getting things like eyeball juice and stuff, and you know, all those ingredients. And I remember like climbing up the mountain and, you know, shit firing at me and stuff, and I had like 12 seconds left. A lot of failures, but a lot of satisfaction once I finally got that sword. Man, it was great. And it kicked ass. I don't know if you ever got that sword and played this game. Goron's big sword that thing was ferocious. But the gameplay was fun, the temples were fun, everything, the music, sensational. Sensational. I mean, the tunes you play in the ocarina, the temple themes, all excellent. Wherever you went, the theme to it was beautiful and went with it very nice. I can remember going to Gerudo Valley, and the music that plays up there, great, perfect, went straight with what was going on there. This game is a masterpiece. I mean, it's hard to replicate this. And the other Zeldas I've played is Twilight Princess, which has a lot of ode to this game. I could play Twilight Princess. It's beautiful. It's another masterpiece. And those are kind of the two Zelda games that I really enjoy to play. Now, my experience with them ones is limited, so, you know, appreciate that. Next one we have here is a classic to 007 GoldenEye. This game was rage when it came out. I don't know, late 90s, somewhere in there. It was incredible, and the movie was great. You've seen the movies. I mean, Pierce Brosnan, I like him as James Bond any day. He was great, and movie was great. This game was great. Um, the multiplayer was a lot of fun, and it went on well. But since these games, I mean, I suppose you could play online if you figure something out online. But a fun game to play, particularly at the time, and the weapon systems were really good. It would be nice if Turok ran the same way. Where you pick the mission, you go through instead of like, I forget, I had you going and getting stupid things to get portals and stuff. Like, no, just give me objectives, and I think it used a lot of the same engine. So I feel like if it had the same designers of levels and stuff involved, it could have been like this. But anyway, it's a classic game. There's not much to say about it. Last game I have here is original Super Mario World, which, I just never beat. I didn't really play it much. And, I just didn't. Maybe I will one of these days. But, I don't know, the thought of going around and getting stars and stuff, those kind of objectives were never appealing to me. And maybe I just never gave the game a chance, And, I had fonder memories going over people's houses and playing like the regular Mario, like Mario 1, 2, 3, and Super Mario World. Like those games were where I had a lot of fond memories, and this was just so different from that. The 3D, the getting the stars, just never clicked with me. But maybe I need to give it another chance. Who knows? That is the Nintendo 64 Collection. I'm really happy that you joined me today. I really appreciate it. And please like, subscribe, but most importantly, be well. Be so well.